The search is on for the gunman who shot and killed one man, sent another man to the hospital. Right now, there is no suspect information. Police are investigating. If you have any information, you're asked to give them a call.
This holiday season, there's a man out there whose only gift is a nightmare. His suit is red, his beard is white, but the twinkle in his eye is a little strange. Don't let your children near him. And don't, I repeat, don't tell him you've been good all year if you haven't. You've made it through Halloween. Now try and survive Christmas. Silent Night, Deadly Night. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
We're going to expand our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store. Back where it says horror videos and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
From the prime time, bitch!
Long live the new Fletch.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
We've got to return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
It's Exiliah.
It's the pocket hand sanitizer you keep in your bag, Mike.
And it's last but not least, Colton.
And we are back. It is Saturday, December 18th. It is almost that time. To
bring forth the rhythm and the rhyme.
Yeah, I mean, I much prefer that rather than Christmas, I guess. I don't know, maybe Christmas is your thing. Hopefully I've done my job and you're listening to this like Christmas Eve or Christmas and I've, fulfilled my promise of putting this out early on Christmas. And it's not like January 20th and people are like, boy, it's been like a month since they've put an episode out.
I like to think that all of our listeners are going to be there on Christmas Day listening to this podcast and not spending it with family and friends.
Well, you never know with the lockdowns.
That's right. Maybe they're locked
That's
down.
true, too.
Maybe this podcast will save someone's Christmas.
So, I figure my question, I feel like it's a softball this time. I mean, it's the holidays. I want to know what you guys are you in the holiday spirit yet? What are you doing to get into the holiday spirit? What are you looking forward to? Anything, as long as it's about the holidays. Speak about it. We'll start with you, Mike.
I am looking forward to spending the next week and a half crying and drinking wine and crying a little bit more and maybe drinking some more wine and passing out and then waking up and crying. So that's I'm in the holiday
Great
spirit,
plans.
One might say. Listen, some of us are in hell right now and it's not going to go away until the new year.
True.
This is true. Definitely not a good time to be working any sort of...
Be nice to your retail worker.
That's right. Because they just want to drink wine and cry.
They just want to live.
Yeah,
they
just and they're going to talk shit about you when you leave. So just be aware. They have group chats and they are talking shit about you specifically. Yes, I mean you.
100%.
But not Mike. He's a model employee, so it's definitely not Mike. How about you, Colton?
Well, I guess my holiday plans are up in the air a little bit right now. I'm kind of watching the COVID situation in Nova Scotia to see if my brother's flight makes it out. If it does make it out, then I'll probably be heading back to Labrador for Christmas. So honestly, my holiday plans are probably watching movies with the family, drinking eggnog, I don't know, eating Christmas dinner or whatnot. But, hopefully if everything goes well, it'll be back in Labrador for the first time in, I think, 2 or 3 years for Christmas. 3 years, I think.
Oh my God. Has it really been that long?
Yeah, for me, the last time I was home for Christmas. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, it could happen. If not, I'm going to have to change all my travel plans, and my Christmas will probably be spent in the theater like it was a couple of years ago. So, yeah, we'll see.
I'm suspecting you picked up a copy of Event Horizon to take to your family.
Oh, of course. Yeah, my mom would love that one. Yeah, I got that all wrapped up and ready for her.
How about you, Exilia?
What was the question? What I'm going to be doing over the holiday? What I'm looking forward to? Okay, well, I'm finally done my master's. divorce, and I...
Toot toot, toot toot, beep beep.
I only have 2 more days of work before Christmas, so I'm really relaxing and just really loving doing nothing. My family's like kind of a Christmassy family, but now my mom's really like taken it to a new level, and so my family decided it would be a good idea to rent the mansion that they filmed Chapelwaite in, like the Stephen King.
Oh. Yeah.
And so I am going there with my family for an extended amount of time. So that will be very interesting. In terms of like if I'm a Christmassy person, not really, but I feel like the past 2 years have just been so bleak that I'm like trying to grasp on to like any just like spark of joy that that I did not mean to like reference Marie Kondo there, but just like any...
Well, you did. You condoed it, you condoed.
I just want to like something positive, yes, and like latch onto that. So I've been more Christmassy than I ever have been, I'd say.
It's just like a little spark of brightness.
Right? Especially like we had 427 cases today. And
oh my god, and I was complaining about
bleak.
like 40 something. Holy cow.
We had like 378 or 87 yesterday. So it's like the worst it's ever been here. So shit's getting real.
Yeah, that's why I'm worried about my brother, because he's in Halifax, and it's kind of like, seems like a lot of plans and a lot of restrictions are coming into effect really quickly. So, you know, hopefully when everyone's listening to this, I'm just home for Christmas instead. But
that would be nice. What about you, Rowan?
Well, I have the pleasure, I know over like the actual holidays, so all next weekend I'm working overnights. I only work overnight, so I'll be working the whole holidays, but that's all right. I'm all for that. I like money. So
screw spending time with my family.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's good. Like it's good. I get to spend time with like the clients I work with, and you know, try to make their Christmas a little better.
Yeah, I didn't realize like we had Ebenezer Scrooge on the podcast today. Jeez.
Well, I'm not.
Rowan hates Christmas.
I'm not a big Christmas guy. Now, this year I've tried to get into it a little more. So like December hit. You know, if you follow me on Letterboxd, I definitely I've been logging in some Christmas movies.
I forgot Letterboxd existed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I feel like we remind you every episode.
Every week.
Isn't that where we get our bio from?
Every time we're about to do the bio, you're like, oh, that's a thing.
Oh, yes. Letterboxd. What a great idea. Kudos.
We're normally not used to spending Christmas with our family anyway, because we lived away for so many years.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've been watching, like, I kind of sat down one night. I called it the master list of holiday movies that I can tolerate. It's mostly like horror, and it's pretty loose. You just had to have snow in your movie. And essentially.
Now that Rowan's gonna be a family man, he's like, I have to have a Christmas list for my kids.
Yeah, I have to have, like, the tradition of what they're gonna watch.
Like Silent Night, Deadly Night.
I was gonna say Dial Code Santa Claus, I think is what it's called. And I don't know if you've seen that yet, but you should add it to your list. I think it's on Shudder. That's a great movie.
I'll have to look at that.
It's a weird one. Yeah, check
anymore.
it out. Check it out.
I don't have a list anymore. Because I just kicked the shit out of the table and knocked everything off of it.
Okay, I literally bumped the table and knocked one thing on the floor. This is so Rowan. This is so you, Rowan.
But, yeah, no, I'm still working that list out. We definitely know, like, John Carpenter's The Thing has made it on the list.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what will stay on the master list, we'll find out. But,
and then we have the kid-friendly, every Christmas day we watch the California Raisins, which, like, is potentially, like, racist, perhaps. California Raisin Christmas.
Have we re-examined the California Raisins in the last 20 years?
We haven't.
I feel like it needs to be done.
We haven't, but I just
I mean,
feel
they're
like...
not really racist. They're all voiced by, like, actual legendary soul singers.
Okay, well, maybe
Are
not.
they? Okay, I'm behind that.
That's better. And we always watch Garfield Christmas. Because I'm basically Garfield.
Yeah, those are like 2 Christmas Day musts. And of course, like Christmas Vacation is...
So is
Christmas Office Party.
Odie?
No, I'm just Garfield because they're like, trim the trees, and he's like, work.
I can't tell. No, Ro's not Odie. Ro is John.
Ro is John.
No, I'm John. Ro's Odie, I'm John.
You're Odie, Rowan's John.
How dare you?
All right, you guys named all of the Garfield characters I know now. So.
There's like the grandparents. John's parents.
Normal, or was that something else?
Oh yeah, that's like a evil Garfield or some shit, isn't it?
That's like Sidecast 12,000.
Garfield.
It's just Exilia explaining the Christmas Garfield special every episode.
Punctuated by me coming on for Halloween Garfield, because that's one of my favorite Halloween specials.
There you go.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
It's so good.
This is a Garfield Stan Club.
Stan Club.
It is. We stand.
I'm gonna have
Luna
to sit
and
out of it
Garfield.
then. I've seen a concerning little amount of Garfield. I think maybe one that was like Bill Murray, something to do with lasagna. I don't know. That's about it.
And you call yourself a film buff.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to review Garfield: A Tale of Two Kitties or something.
That's terrible. But I think we should stay in the holiday spirit and get into our feature films tonight. Which, you know, we still do picks. I think we never fully explain to people, like, we still pick movies. In the descriptions of the podcast, we say whose pick it is. But sometimes we didn't necessarily have it in order anymore. So I kind of feel bad for everyone, because I think mine have kind of got pushed to the end, so people got hit with like double feature episodes, like
a lot of double episodes.
Yeah, one after another. Yeah, so the film this evening, or the first film, we're going to 1984. It is Silent Night, Deadly Night. I can't believe we haven't done this on the podcast yet. I think even our first year, I had brought up we should do it, and we, you know, of course we had to do Black Christmas, and I can't remember what else we did for the Christmas episodes, but it wasn't this. But we've finally got into it. Directed by Charles E. Seller Jr. This is the space in the podcast where I usually tell you what else they directed of noteworthy things, and that doesn't exist. So, Silent Night, Deadly Night is it. Exilia, will you kindly hit us with the bio?
Sure. You've made it through Halloween. Now try to survive Christmas. Little Billy witnesses his parents being brutally murdered by Santa. Years later, when he has to fill in for an absent in-store Santa Claus, his childhood trauma materializes once again.
So we know where we're going to start. First, experiences. We'll start with you, Colton. Is this your first time watching this film?
Yes, it is. It's my first time seeing Silent Night, Deadly Night. Obviously, I've heard of it before. And I'm a big fan of Christmas horror. Like, every year I go, like, seeking out, like, what to watch, like, usually this time of year. And, yeah, it's always kind of escaped me. For whatever reason in my head, I thought this was that one where, like, Santa Claus faces off against Krampus or something. Like, I don't know. I didn't realize it was a holiday slasher, like, in my head at least. So, yeah, my first time was watching this on Discord, like, last weekend with a couple of friends. And none of us have actually seen it, so it was kind of like a fun watch, this one was. So yeah, it's just my first time watching it for this.
How about you, Exilia?
Yep, this was my first time watching it. I knew what they were, because it's like a Christmas horror, so it's always in that like holiday category when you're on a website. But also because Rowan and I are avid Watch Mojo watchers, and I think this and I think the second one more specifically comes up a lot in like worst movies lists.
Yeah, you definitely see this in lists. Yeah. How about you, Mike?
Well, of course, I was familiar with the series for my whole life. 'Cause how could you not be? I mean, they were video store staples, so you, even if you never saw them, you knew the covers, you know, the VHS and the DVD and all that. I saw the first one, like, I don't know how old I was. I want to say, like, probably, like, in my late teens, early 20s. I just remember it was one of those nights where, like, we all got together and just watched like 5 movies and this was one of them, and I never saw any of the rest of them because I wasn't super impressed with it, so I didn't think enough of it to ever want to watch number 2, let alone the rest of them. So I watched 1 and then kind of forgot about it for my entire life until I rewatched it for this episode. So there was a nice big huge gap between viewings to the point where I barely remembered anything from it.
Yeah, and this is actually the first time I've ever seen this. Like everyone else, like very aware of it. Always on my list of things to see. And it's one of those, especially in the last, like 2 years or 3, where, when we started the podcast, I was like, there's no way, like, we're not gonna do this at some point. So I kind of was like saving it for, I was like, I know there's gonna be an episode. I want to be shocked like everyone else when I watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But almost very hard if you're like a horror person. And especially someone like me that like, I'm like Exilius, I'm always watching Watch Mojo stuff on horror. Or, there's like another kind of Watch Mojo channel. It's called like What Horror or Watch Horror. It's British, but the same kind of thing, lists. And someone that just consumes horror media all the time, it's extremely hard to like not have this movie spoiled for you, which I didn't. So I managed to duck and dodge it. So yeah, luckily this was a fresh going into it. Horror Hounds. Do you guys like horror music? I like horror music. Exilia likes horror music. We know Mike definitely loves horror music. So if you love horror music like we do, join us on Spotify. We have a playlist up called the It Slays Podcast Horrific Playlist. We have some of our favorite tasty jams from some of our favorite horror movies, and we're always consistently adding to the list. And let us know. You can email us or Facebook or Instagram us and let us know if there's anything we should add to the playlist. So we're going to get in the meat and potatoes, and we know where we're starting. Favorite kill, favorite scene. Exilia, we'll start with you.
So my favorite scene, as per usual, is not cut and dry. Okay, my favorite scene, I don't remember what's happening, but I just remember the song.
I don't remember the plot of the movie, but
I remember the song that they played called Merry Christmas Baby, and I immediately downloaded it. I made Rowan pause the movie so I could download it. So I love the scene that's in. And then also I just
Merry Christmas, baby.
Gonna have to add that one to the horrific playlist on Spotify.
It's been done.
Okay, perfect.
And then my next one is like less one scene specifically, but like a series of scenes. And it's just once he like puts on the Santa costume and essentially like descends into like PTSD, prompted just madness.
So like basically like
the last half of the movie.
Yeah.
How about you, Colton?
I mean, like in terms of my favorite kill, like this movie has a lot of like zany little kills and whatnot in it. Probably the one that I thought was the most interesting to me was the reindeer mounted head on, I think, like the girl named Denise or something. Mike's there like shaking his head. I don't know if that was his favorite kill as well, but like that was happening. Damn it, I stole his.
I was gonna say yes. Let's do this a combo, like me and Colton both. That was first of all, it's in the years and years since I last saw it to now. The only thing I remembered from the whole movie was that kill and that scene, and partially because it was such a cool scene, right? Like it was so very clearly like the whole reason for that scene to exist was for that kill.
Yeah,
right? It made no sense
kill.
Otherwise. It was just like inserted randomly. But of course, Linnea Quigley, like queen, goddess, legend, icon. That's all I remembered. I'm like, she got top billing in this and was only in it for like 3 minutes and then got impaled on a fucking like antler.
Yeah, I like how all like the music's playing like from downstairs to like kind of drown out her screams. So like the guy that she's doesn't hear anything. But then when you see the scene again in the second one, all the music is pulled out from it. So I guess maybe they didn't get the rights for it. So she's just like screaming and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, you should have like ran up and help her. But yeah, no, that's probably my favorite scene or favorite kill.
And mine is actually something different. So my favorite kill of it was the sledding beheading.
That is my second one.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. So I guess I'll insert here. So we watched this on Tubi.
Oh no, not again.
It was on Tubi? What?
Yeah, it was on Tubi. So, but listen to this one. There's 2 versions of it on Tubi. They have the theatrical and the unrated.
Yeah.
Because when I searched it, I'm just like, oh, there it is. I clicked it. I watched the theatrical one.
Girl, never.
So now
Unless it's Blade Runner.
Afterwards, I looked up to see what the differences were, and it was like I was just missing little
bit of gore, yeah.
Little bit of gore, which there was extra gore in the beheading scene, which was a little sad. But overall, I just thought it was funny. It was a creative. I don't even know if it's really that creative, but it was just.
I saw it coming from a mile away, but it was still funny to like see it executed, I guess, on screen.
Yeah, it was just, I thought it was just it was a good kill. Beheadings are always awesome in horror movies.
I was just liking how his friend was like standing at the bottom waiting for him, and he just comes down on this sled with no head.
Yeah, I was just
but
gonna
then
say
like 30 seconds later the head rolls down after.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh my god, a headless body, and then it's like, oh my god, a fucking head rolling down after it.
A bodiless head.
Yeah, a bodiless head, exactly.
I did want to talk about how surprised I was. So, we all kind of said, we're all aware of this film and, how everyone talks about it during the holidays. So, when I turned it on, I don't know about you guys, but I was definitely it's low budget. My main worry, I was like, this is definitely going to be 2 hours long. And I was super, super surprised at, how quick it is. The pacing of it, I feel like every episode, everyone knows I'm really in the pacing of movies. And I was very surprised that even, I don't know about the unrated cut, but the theatrical cut, I don't think breaks over 120 minutes. Or 120 minutes. It doesn't break over an hour and 20 minutes.
20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the unrated cut, I think it probably just barely dips over that. I feel like it might be 120 or 1 hour and 25 minutes, 1 hour and 26 minutes. But when I was watching the unrated
it's under
cut,
90 minutes for sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's super obvious what the unrated parts are, because it gets really grainy, shitty film. And I actually had a note. I was kind of because I was taking notes, I looked down and jotted something down and looked up, and all of a sudden the movie was in shit quality. And I was I wrote down man, what happened to the
insert a VHS?
Yeah, I was what happened to the quality of this movie all of a sudden? He was just standing here in perfect HD, and now it's just shit. But obviously, it was all the unrated portions that didn't get remastered or whatever, right?
But yeah, no, like I said, I just I thought this kind of zoomed by. It wasn't the slog I thought it was gonna be watching.
I thought the pacing was really good.
We pretty much get right to the killing right away.
Right to the killing.
Right to the killing. How I like it. And it doesn't really stop.
What I would say is after that initial 3 years later skip to that little middle portion, when he's in is it the Catholic school or the boarding school?
The orphanage.
St. Mary's.
Yeah. Orphanage, yeah. Yeah, when he's in that little section, that's slightly slow when I was watching it. And after I finished it, I was oh, did we need that section? Then I was well, I guess for the religious parallels and you must be punished and, for acting naughty and whatnot, we kind of needed it. But that little section there, I feel that's I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes before we get the 10 years later, the freeze frame zoom on his face and then 10 years later. I thought that part dragged a little bit, but I mean, overall, I mean, it's only 90 minutes.
Yeah, and it
not
wasn't
hard to
even
sit
that
through.
long
Yeah.
of a segment
No.
anyway, so...
No.
You know, I thought it was interesting. Like, I don't know if you guys looked at any other information, like, about the film, but...
Did you guys do your research?
I usually don't do my research just to avoid the budget game, but for this one, I actually got that spoiled, so I'll have to sit
I don't
out,
like...
but
See, and that's
I know
the
there
thing.
was, like...
Ever since we started doing that, I used to just love, like, you know, falling down rabbit holes, and I'm like, I can't do that now because I don't want to spoil it, because the odd time that I win the budget game, it means so much to me that I don't want to win it
all the time.
I don't win all the time. Maybe by default. I'm never even close.
We'll have to make a plaque for Mike.
But yeah, were you gonna get into like the cool details about how it beat Nightmare on Elm Street at the box office and whatnot?
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought of Mike when I was looking, and I was like, this beat Nightmare on Elm Street at the box office.
And then this was so like people like hated it so much that after 6 days they had to pull all the marketing materials apparently, and then shortly thereafter it was kicked out of theaters just because of how sacrilegious it was to have a killer Santa.
I was gonna say, didn't Ebert like absolutely shit on it?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was Ebert or the other guy with him at the time, but somebody like was basically like, this is it was like, this is horrific or something.
I know I saw overall they gave it zero thumbs up or down or anything.
They both just sat there awkwardly looking
like,
at
they're like, our thumbs have been amputated for this movie. They are neither up nor down. They do not exist.
I think it was, I can't remember, but it was something weird that I'm pretty sure like they refused to like actually give it a critique. They just said it was garbage.
Yeah,
I mean,
that seems right from what my friends were discussing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna say no surprise. I mean, Siskel and Ebert are notorious horror haters.
They're always, think about the children, you know, as if like
think
all the
about
kids
the
are seeing this
children.
R-rated
By the way, I
weird-ass
wrote Beyond
Santa
the Valley
movie.
of the Dolls. Like,
truth.
Which, by the way, is not a drag because I fucking love Beyond the Valley of the Dolls and I love the soundtrack. But like, you know, let's not throw stones in glass houses, right?
I can't ever talk about this movie without laughing. The beginning of this movie, I want to talk about a little bit because all I could like think about is when they made this. I wonder how edgy they thought they were with this Santa that just like rapes this, like, at first I thought it was gonna like rape this kid's mom in front of him.
Yep.
And I just like, yeah, all I could think about, I was like, I bet this like writer and director just like, they were like, yeah man, we're really making like some provocative cinema, and like how trashy it ended up being. Like, I mean, they basically just take her top off, slit her throat, which I don't know about the unedited. I mean, in the theatrical you don't see, it cuts away to the kid, and then there's and then it goes to the mom's face, and there's just like blood on her neck.
I think there's a lot of it that's like the injuries are off screen.
Yeah, well, and
on our version,
and that's the big thing with the theatrical. Yeah. Like, I think most of the gore is cut out of the theatrical.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember them specifically cutting away from that. I know in the part 2 they edit that so like her breasts aren't shown, like for whatever reason. Like it's weird, like cropping and editing in part 2 to get around that. But then the movie doesn't pull back from later in the movie showing a bunch of like topless women and stuff in it. So it's a weird choice to like re-edit that initial scene in the second one. But I think in the first one, like all the blood and everything's shown that I remember. But
I feel, I was gonna say typical slasher, I guess. Mom titties get no love, but then the teenage titties get all the love. Like,
very sad.
Very astute observation by me.
If we're gonna talk about the beginning of the movie, can we talk about Grandpa and how like he's clearly like off his meds and that and he's just telling his grandson about how like Santa's gonna torture him or whatever. It was such a
What's
weird.
What's the context of that? Like, why do you believe this? Like, I don't understand. It's where the fuck did this come from?
It was so fucked up because he's like fine, and then all the like adults leave the room, and he's just like this terrible grandfather. And I was just like, I had to jot down. I was like, oh my god, Grandpa's off his meds. Like, what's wrong? And then everyone comes back and he's fine again.
I was just like, why wouldn't they just like take that kid with them too? They took everybody else except for this kid. kid.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Well, because
I know because they need a movie, but like, what's the other reason?
Grandpa, I felt, was just an underused character. They should have like brought him back or something.
So not knowing like 100% what this movie was about and getting confused with another one, I was like, I got a note and I was like, oh, is Grandpa gonna be like the killer Santa? Like, is he gonna come around? Like, this is gonna be weird. So then I was like, okay, no, never mind. Santa's like an armed robber. Like, this is interesting. And then I was like, oh wait, never mind. We're 3 years later and we're here with a bunch of nuns. I was like, where is this going?
The Santa Claus trauma is very, very real.
Oh, apparently, yeah.
Throughout this, yeah, I feel like we got to talk about the nuns, or at least Mother Superior, which toughest nun's name of all time. I don't know.
I've never actually
kept
seen
forgetting
a
it.
nun in real life.
Neither have I.
Have you guys?
Oh, I think I've seen them here in here in town at like the Basilica or whatever. But
okay.
Mother Superior jumped the gun.
Have you ever seen a nun, Mike?
Of course, I actually have several regular customers who are nuns.
But like in their habits?
In their habits, they don't usually wear their habits. They usually are wearing like I don't know what you call the nuns' version of like kind of going out in public clothes. Like, it does seem to be uniform.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't wear a habit, but the kind of skirt and jacket that they wear and stuff is very uniform and similar to a habit. They're just not wearing like the full headpiece and stuff.
I like that I didn't know that's what the
like when I see them, when I see these old ladies, I know that they're nuns based on like their kind of casual wear.
Right.
Are they always buying like erotica and stuff?
Oh yeah, they're buying like Anne Rice's Beauty's Punishment, Beauty's Release. Like, it's. By the way, we need to talk later about R.I.P. Anne Rice. Anyway, yeah, it's all like hardcore BDSM, like punch me, choke me, tie me up. Yeah, punish, exactly. Naughty. There's a reason they're obsessed with naughty.
So the nuns that you have seen and met definitely have a lot of things in common with Mother Superior.
Yes, of course.
I can't judge the ones I saw. They were like from afar, and I'm not Catholic, so I mean, I didn't really understand the Ash Wednesday ceremony or whatever I was at. So,
and see, it's hard. Like I said, it's hard when we talk about this one because there's a lot of things I want to talk about, but then I'm like, I gotta kind of save it for the second one.
But it's hard because it's like the second one's partially the same movie.
Yeah.
This one, even with this one before watching the second one, I was like really confused at the kids because some of the scenes where Ricky and what's the other kid's name?
Billy.
So I think it's Billy in this one.
Billy
and Ricky in the second
and Ricky
one.
in two.
Yeah.
Okay, so Billy and Ricky, but Billy and Ricky
Ricky's
in this
the baby.
first one, is the baby at the beginning, but they kind of look like they're the same age, like when they're at this orphanage, like they're pretty much like the same height.
Yeah, even though one is like 6 years older or so than the other.
Yeah,
I was kind of annoyed by the casting choice too because I liked Billy's kid, like when he was like the kid and like saw, the attack on his family and whatnot by the Santa. And then when they cast him older, I don't know, he was just very different. Obviously you would be after that, attack. But it was just like, I was like, oh, I thought the original kid was actually a good actor. And now this guy's not. So
there were so many.
Yeah, but he didn't need to be a good actor because the only thing they cared about, as evidenced by probably my favorite shot in the whole movie, was when the camera was zooming up when he first comes in to get that fucking job at the toy store. Goes up from like his legs to his fucking giant muscly arms and shit. He looks like. But
that's in the third part of the movie. In the second part, they recast the kid from like the very beginning, and they do it in the second movie too, which drives me crazy.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. I didn't even
there's
notice
three,
that.
There's three different kids.
Many different people playing.
Yeah, and the second one, it's even more egregious because there's like there's like a 14 to 15-year-old Ricky or whatever, and I'm like, why couldn't you just have like made the actual guy look younger? You cast the guy for like 1 second of the movie, he looks nothing like him.
And like when they were at the funeral, and the guy wasn't that much. different of an age between like the older guy.
We'll save
and
that for
younger
the
guy.
second one.
It's just hard. It's hard.
Oh, it's bad. That's what I'm saying. It was very distracting to me because I thought, just like I said, I liked the original kid. I thought he was good.
I will say, when I watched this, all I could think about was, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I kept thinking, I'm surprised this isn't a Canadian horror movie.
Truth, yeah.
It had the vibe.
You're
just thinking of, you're getting the My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah, I was kind of yeah. I don't know if it's like the holiday horror, but just like the quality of it, like the just kind of like whatever. We're just killing people. I'm like, this is definitely like 70s, 80s Canadian horror production quality type stuff. Yeah, I mean, you guys talk away. I feel like I'm blabbing on about nuns.
Yeah, well, I mean, the movie for me, I thought it was actually like more artfully done than I was expecting. Like, in terms of, like, I know there's lots of, like, silly kills and whatnot, but they definitely, like, do take their time in that final section where he is just kind of walking around stoic and kind of menacing. Like in this one, the killer is. It's not, like, over-the-top campy or anything. Like, it was, like, an imposing presence, right? And it was weird. Like, I didn't expect them to just murder, like, everybody that he worked with at the store. Like, there's that one moment with, what is it? Is it an arrow? He gets the person at the door. I was like, oh my god, he's like Hawkeye now, just sniping people.
By the way, can we talk about, like, how that bitch was, like, amazing, and she was totally, like, more resourceful and shit than anybody else in that movie. She, like, hid away and, like, fucking knocked him down, and she fucking took his axe and was about to get out, and I'm like, man, I am totally, like, I am here for this woman. Like, she is my everything.
Yeah, there's the moment in this movie, too, where he gives the little girl the box cutter, like, as a present, as Santa, which I thought was actually, like, a pretty, like, neat horror moment where, like, asks if she's been naughty and stuff and gives her the present. I was kind of like, in a modern, like, movie, like, the sequel to this, or maybe, like, the reimagining would be, like, based on that girl from, like, the trauma that she now experienced, like, with her, the babysitters or whoever was there, her parents or whatever. And now she has the box cutter. This would be, like, foreshadowing or something. But I liked that moment. I thought it was, like, a neat take on the Santa thing. It was suitably creepy, I thought.
Can we also speak about how it's Christmas Eve night and they're done work, but they're just like, instead of going home to their family, they're just hanging out and getting drunk with their coworkers at work.
Yeah,
right?
It was like they wanted to mix...
I mean, that's how I spend all of my Christmas Eves, but it's not at fucking work. I am literally, the minute we lock the door, I am a fucking mic-shaped piece of smoke, and I'm already drunk before I walk in my front door. Like...
Yeah, they wanted to mix, like, the holiday party narrative and, like, have that for it, like, where they get him, like, drunk and...
But
like,
also
Santa.
with the, like, actually being Christmas.
Yeah, which so he can, like, wander around and murder a couple other people on Christmas Eve or whatnot, right? So, yeah, it doesn't work fully.
I was gonna say, too, kind of, I guess, jumping around a bit, like, to the end. I enjoyed, I know you said, Colton, you enjoyed, like, the box cutter scene.
Yeah.
And like, a modern take. I liked the effectiveness of, like, where they shoot Santa and it ends up being, like, the deaf priest. I liked it because, like I said, I didn't know what to expect from this movie, and I knew it was, like, when I looked at the runtime, I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty short. And so when that happened, I had no idea how long I'd been watching it, and I was like, oh shit, maybe that's it. And I was like, maybe that's why people don't like this movie. It just ends. They just shoot this guy, and that's the end.
It was so goofy for me because you got, like, 2 Santa shootings at the same, like, place in the same day. It's just, like, because he gets Billy gets shot at the end of the movie, too, right? It's just... I don't know. A lot of dead Santas on this kid's conscience, like, weighing on them.
Nothing's as cheesy as the Santa that didn't die, like when they stop the dad for whatever reason, has a ladder up against the house, climbs through a window to, like, make see his daughter. I don't know any parent that would put that kind of work in.
That had creepy vibes to me.
Dude, did I black out? I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
It was in both.
Yeah,
movies,
it was when they were. Yeah. They showed it twice.
What is it? Is someone crawls in through the girl's window?
It was after Billy starts his spree. and the nun is like, and the cop are sort of like chasing him down. And there's a point, it literally has no context whatsoever. It just cuts to like this Santa like crawling into like the house where this little girl is sleeping. And then the cops and the mom bust in on him as he's like on her bed or whatever, and it looks like he's gonna kill her. And then it's like, oh, daddy, yeah.
Yes, okay, yeah, now I remember
it has
that,
no context, like, literally, what's the purpose of it? Like, and then they're all like, oh, shucks.
It's a committed Santa Claus performance, you know, all of our fathers did that for sure.
Commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, what I thought was funny about it was, like, so the cops would have, you know, whether they busted the front door down or the wife let them in, like, wouldn't the wife know that, like, the father was doing that? Like, Santa? Couldn't the wife just be like, oh, I no, that's my husband?
It's a fucking creepy vibes. I'm not here for it.
She looked just as shocked, so yeah, it's definitely some super creeps vibes going on.
Maybe they were doing some, like, Santa role play or something and the cops came and crashed it. I don't know.
The daughter's, like, 3. Or like 5.
No, not the daughter. I meant the woman downstairs. Oh my god, not the daughter.
Okay.
Yikes.
Okay.
Colton's trying to get this podcast shut down real quick.
No, definitely not. No, my mind didn't even go there.
Or on a watch list, one of the two, or a listen list.
That's like the vibe I got from it though. It was fucking creepy.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember the scene quite as vividly as you guys, so.
It was just creepy overall. It's really kind of hard to talk about this without talking about the second one. So I don't know, like, do you guys want to go into Is It Unsettling so we can kind of unpack more when we get into the second movie?
Well, I think we should at least say I think the ending's pretty strong. Like, literally, like, the last little moment when I guess it's Ricky like looks at Mother Superior and says naughty. Like, I thought that was a really good ending. Like, I really liked that final little putting.
Yeah, and it was like with the axe on the ground. It was a nice moment, I gotta say.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
It's a very nice moment.
A well done moment. A well done. Well, I mean, it was nice. It was, you know, your family passing on the torch of whatever, you know.
I'm interested to see what your household's like at Christmas. And you're like, oh, that's a nice moment.
Nice family moment.
Yeah, I mean, this movie's wild. And this is the other thing, too, is that I think, just like I kind of expected, it's just... You gotta see it to believe it, that it exists. Well, let's talk about Is It Unsettling then. We'll start with you, Colton. You look scared.
No, it's definitely not unsettling. I mean, I don't know. I didn't get that vibe at all from it.
How about you, Exilia?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no, too. Other than the weird daddy vibes.
Crawling through the window, yeah.
Crawling through the window. How about you, Mike?
Oh, the only thing unsettling about it was the fucking lack of paint or decor on any wall on any of those sets. That's all I'm saying.
I loved the layout of the house where the like antler girl was living though.
Yes, that is the one exception, and that's why I literally, as I said, that's the only thing I remembered from that whole fucking movie. And I think it's because it was the one moment where it wasn't just beige walls that they clearly just painted like 2 days before. That wood paneling, it totally looked like a 70s, actual 70s like rec room, you know? Yeah. And that was the only part of the whole movie that I actually bought, even though it was completely fucking over the top and just completely, you know, out of this world. But like, yeah, that wood paneling, and it was like, actually there was like some atmosphere and some really bizarre, shitty, like Tiger, 3 Wolf Moon artwork on the wall. But I was like, you know what? I totally believe that this might have actually been somebody's house.
Yeah.
Nothing else, like the orphanage didn't look real. The fucking store didn't look real. The police station didn't look real. None of it looked like an actual place that people would inhabit in any way, except for that house. So yes, you are absolutely right.
Like, I just said to Rowan, I was like, oh, If I remodeled this house, it would be so nice.
Right? It would be warm and cozy and moody and atmospheric. Yeah. Even more so than usual.
I can tell you what they weren't doing in that house, and it was playing pool. I don't know if anyone caught that. Like, so he has the pool cue in his hand, but on the pool table, which you see half of the pool table, like, you can pretty much see the pool table.
Well, I mean, they're on the pool table.
Yeah, but there's only
there's other things on their mind other than pool, Rowan.
Yeah, but he's down there pretending to play, and there's only I don't know anything about pool, the cue ball, the white ball.
Yeah.
But there's no other balls on the table. It's just that one ball.
Maybe we cut to just when
maybe
he won.
He was winning.
Yeah, he just got
winning.
the 8-ball in.
They're
We just came in media res.
They were celebrating.
Yeah.
Or he beat himself, I guess. I don't know.
Well, we know Linnea Quigley was not going to be beating him because she was hung up on a fucking antler.
That is terrible. Just terrible.
Terrible.
Just a reminder to follow us on all of our social media at It Slays Podcast. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, soon to be on Tumblr. Of course, we're on Spotify and iTunes. And if you're adding us on iTunes, don't forget to leave us an iTunes review. It doesn't even need to be 5-star. We appreciate 5-star. But the most important part is we want to hear from you. So write us a text review in the iTunes app, and we will make sure to give you a shout out on the podcast. Every review helps as it bumps us up in the search engine, and that's what it's all about. Back to the podcast. All right, well, let's rate this sucker, because we still got another one to go. Jeez. So if you're new to the show, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. And I can't even start with, someone that hasn't seen this before, because we're just kind of mostly in that situation. So we'll start with you, Mike.
I will give it a very solid nay. I enjoyed this perhaps less than whenever I saw it last a million years ago. It was like, there was a very good reason, I think, why I blanked the whole movie out in my memory, except for the Linnea Quigley scene, because it was just garbage. And you know what? Like, that's fine. It is what it is. It was just garbage. I get why people want to watch it, though. At Christmas time especially. And I love the sacrilege of it. I don't get me wrong, I love the ballsiness of it. But I will not be watching this again anytime soon, so put it that way.
Wow.
Let's go with you next, Colton.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of shocked to hear a hard nay on this one. I can't hear.
Oh,
I can't
hard.
Wait
it's like,
can't wait to hear what you think of the second one. But no, for me, I think this is pretty solid. I think it's a good move. Well, good movie for what it is. I enjoyed it. I think it's a solid yay. Like I said, it was better, more artfully done than I expected. I think I'm not fond of the children casting, changing them, and I don't like that nun sequence really, even though I understand why it's in the movie. But no, for me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot better than I was expecting. So it gets a solid yay from me.
How about yourself, Exilia?
Okay.
Ready? Okay.
Within the context of watching this as a horror movie at Christmas or on a holiday, I'm gonna give this movie a slay. I actually really liked it, and it was just
everything just fell off of my desk.
I just can't believe you hated it so much, Mike. You must hate Christmas.
I cannot stand it. I never want to watch it again.
I find it it was just really trashy, but also not painful to watch. Also, I work in a field that's based on trauma, so anything about trauma is of interest to me. And I just love how it is so sacrilege with the killer Santa, and just I really liked it.
Okay, can we? But we need to. I feel like Your sleigh and my nay need to have a conversation right now, and it is this, and I think I sort of addressed this a few minutes ago. My problem, maybe it's not a problem, I think this is one of my many strengths. My whole life, I've had an aesthetic, and my problem with this movie was that there was no fucking aesthetic at all. And that's why I brought up the fact that the fucking sets are gross and there's nothing on the wall and it's just beige ass paint and it looks like a shack. And the only part that I ever remember is the part that has a minor, like, smidge of an aesthetic. If this movie had an aesthetic, I would fucking slay it out the goddamn roof.
See, to me, that is the aesthetic of it. Just like...
The aesthetic is that there's no aesthetic.
Grungy, yeah.
I get it.
It's just like a grimy, like,
but like it's not even grimy enough for me. To me, it's so beige, and beige is the biggest crime you can commit in art.
Dude, that toy store set's like pretty cool. It's pretty fun, that toy store
It's beige,
set.
Girl. The whole everything
they
that
got all the
happens
shelves
in
and
that
stuff,
happens in the
though,
back
full of
room.
toys. That's good stuff.
By the way, can we please talk about how clearly Little Tykes and shit, this is like bootleg. They did not give permission for their, because it was all name brand toys. It was
Star
all fucking
Wars
name brand
was in
toys.
it.
I could not get over it. The whole time I was watching the first one, I was like, all this like Little Tykes and shit, like they did not authorize this. I cannot believe that they did not get this movie shut down.
George Lucas was just happy.
It was
cashing his
legitimate.
checks.
Like, it actually, in a way, it looked like a real toy store because it was all name brand toys.
That's what I'm saying. That was a great set. Well, I don't know why you're hating.
I hated it. The sets were what actually drove me over the edge into nay.
The aesthetic of this movie is a horror comedy, like, I'm not really a horror comedy, but I guess a horror movie with the same aesthetic as the movie Milo and Otis.
Milo and Otis?
Yeah, it's like the same, like,
the leap you just took, the leap that you just took actually takes my breath away. So congratulations.
I'm serious.
You
like...
take my breath away.
It's like the same era, so it's like the same like filter look on the movie. It's like low budget. It's also
someone put a pair of legs pantyhose over the front of the camera. Yeah,
and
totally.
like Milo and Otis is very beige because they're like walking through wheat fields or like in a barn.
I didn't expect this podcast to be comparing it to Milo and Otis.
That's why I'm literally like, I feel like she just
shocked. Yeah.
What, like,
honestly,
just stomped on my chest and took my breath away.
To me, it has the same like vibe.
Same vibe.
Minus the
okay. Listen, I will give
Christmas
you this.
thing.
Maybe at some point I will take what you've just said and reconsider. I will not be doing it now, but. You're really giving me something to chew on. It might be poisonous, but we'll see.
I still have to give my rating.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, bro, please. Like you need to round out this square right now.
So I think this is.
I mean, square out this square, not round.
Yeah, square out the square.
I'll
square out the square.
Let me square out the round here. I think this is gonna be a first time in It Slays history. 4 people. 4 different ratings. So I'm not even changing my rating. This is what I expected to rate it coming in. I'm gonna give it an okay.
Wow.
So a nay, an okay.
This is historical.
A
like, let's mark this.
I know
Let's
it's
mark this,
it's like the Power Rangers when they come together. But yeah, I'm gonna give it an okay. It was way better than I thought.
Clearly the bar was really low before you watched it.
Well, and I based my rating. I'm like, what else did I give like yays to? And I kind of thought about it, and I'm like,
Mandy.
Yeah, I'm like, Mandy.
You named the 1 or 2 movies
are
that
we
you
gonna get in
didn't
a fight
slay
about
in.
Mandy now? Like,
yeah, and then I'm like, what did I give a slay to? Everything.
Every goddamn movie, every piece of shit you give a slay to.
But no, I was like, it's definitely not a like yay movie. It's an okay to me. Like, I think it's good. I think if you watch it, you won't regret it. I think it's a fun 80s slasher movie. It's no different than like putting on any of the many, Friday the 13th ripoffs that we got. Like, I think you could have fun with it, but I don't think it's like, you need to watch this. Like, you're not you can't be a horror fan unless you watch.
I mean, if you're watching horror on Christmas, you have to watch them.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Yes, of course. I would never deny that.
No, I was going to say real quickly, I think the original title for this movie, Sleigh Ride, was a pretty great name, too. I kind of wish they stuck with that rather than Silent Night, Deadly Night, but...
I do like that name. I think that would have been
fun.
An awesome name. But yeah, no, I mean, I think for the purpose it serves, an okay is good. I don't think many people are watching this outside of the holidays. You know, in July, this probably isn't the movie you want to put on.
Do you ever watch a Christmas movie outside of the holidays, though?
The second one was released outside of the holidays.
Really?
Well, and once we get to that, I have a whole thing about that.
What was it like? Was it in July? You said July.
April. The most Christmassy month.
That's like when Rowan puts out a podcast for Christmas. Comes out in April.
So there we go. A nay, an okay, a yay, and a slay. First time for everything. So we've talked about what we thought about it. Now it's time to know what you thought about it, which we put that question out on Instagram and only one person replied. Because they were probably just like, Jesus, why are these guys watching this movie?
Fair.
It was the embarrassment that the one person was my mother.
Oh my god! Iconic, legendary.
I wasn't aware she'd seen this movie, so that's...
But to be fair, your mother is an icon, so...
Yeah, so she didn't write anything, like she didn't say anything about it, she just sent the, like, Apple emoji of 100. I don't know, I guess she's, I don't know, I guess she's like a 21-year-old university kid or something.
That was her review. She was given 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
It's
100 out of 100. I know that she would be into this. Obviously, she likes this movie. This is her style. Anything like cheesy and cheap, she is all about. So yeah, that's our very short segment of that, because she was the only one that dared say anything about this movie. I'm sure most people just didn't want their Instagram names associated with
watching this?
With watching this whatsoever. They were probably more on Mike's level.
Everyone should be on my level.
So next up is the budget game. So this is where I know how much it cost and made. Everyone else guesses, and the winner gets, I have no idea, some sort of Christmas present.
A bloody box cutter.
A bloody box cutter, exactly. And I think Colton said he's stepping out of this one.
Yeah, for these ones, yeah.
Yeah, so this is, what is it, a tete-a-tete, with... Yeah, with Exilia and Mike. So we will start with how much it cost. How much do you think this movie cost to make, Mike?
$5,000.
$5,000.
How much does 10 buckets of beige paint cost? That's how much it costs.
That's some expensive
Exilia,
paint.
how about you?
Right?
$50,000.
So Exilia will take it, even though neither of you both lost in real life.
Yeah, we're both losers. Me and X are
both losers in life. So it was $750,000.
I'm actually shocked that it went
That's
into triple digits.
Lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gore effects in it, though. I think, like, I don't know, there's lots of on-screen kills with lots of, like, blood pumps, and, you know, there gotta be some, like, mannequins or whatever made, or, you know.
Yeah, and
none of them are very good, though. It all looks like something that one of my high school art classmates probably could have done in the back room.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
I mean, too, the thing to remember about it is, like, this was, I think it was Trimark, wasn't it? I believe. I think it was, like, Trimark Paramount or something. Like, this was, like, a major studio was behind this, so, or distributed it. So, I mean, it had a little bit of money. So let's get into what it made. We'll start with you this time, Exilia.
You said it made how much? You said it made more than what movie?
So I guess the hint we dropped was, when this was released, this beat out A Nightmare on Elm Street. In the box office.
I don't remember how much that made. I'll say $1 million.
$1 million. How about you, Mike?
I'll say 2.5 million.
2.5?
No, $3 million, Bob.
$3 million. So Mike will take it.
What?
Now, if he had kept his original answer, he would have hit it right on the head.
What? I was like totally right. Are you kidding me?
It made $2.5 million.
Wow.
And as Colton alluded to, this actually got pulled from the theaters after, only a couple days because of protests. And they couldn't handle the pressure, couldn't handle the heat in the kitchen. So
they were all like
out.
Mike. They just thought the movie was so bad that it had to be pulled from theaters.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But I'm sure, kind of like Mike said, this was like a VHS movie through and through. Like
100%, yeah.
This was in all the rental places. And, it has really built major, cult status, which is evident. I mean, there's 5 of these movies plus they remade it in 2012. So, I mean, it has interest. There's definitely a following there. So this is the time, take your bathroom break, get your popcorn. We're gonna have our intermission, and then come back and get into the trailer, for our double feature.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
He's back. It's the terrorizing sequel to the film that shocked a nation by breaking all the rules. It's Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2. Santa's back, and he's mighty miffed at the naughty nun who drove his demented brother on a murderous rampage that made headlines across the country. Now, step by step, weapon by weapon, victim by victim, Santa's gonna finish what his brother started. So you better watch out. You better not pout, because Santa Claus is coming to your town, and he knows who's been naughty and who's been nice. Hold on tight for the sequel that'll chill you through your very soul. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2.
So we are back for the second of our double feature. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 created the best year known to man, 1987.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Legendary people born that year. Just legends. Directed by Lee Harry. The entire time when the opening credits came on, I was saying to Exilia that I just read it quickly.
I kept reading it the same.
And we both thought it said Lee Harvey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that's unfortunate.
Which very may well be him who made this. But Lee Harvey, also like the first one, not any notable directing credits. The only kind of thing I thought was cool is he's more known as an editor, and he edited the opening intro scene for the live action Street Fighter movie. Little
just the opening scene?
But just the opening credit scene. That's it.
Right. Love it. Ming-Na, Kylie Minogue, yes. Raul Julia.
Yeah. Yeah, just a fun little tidbit. But yeah, so Colton, hit us with that Letterboxd bio.
Yeah, so the nightmare is about to begin again. After being traumatized by his brother Billy's murderous rampage years earlier, Ricky Caldwell has become a serial killer himself and is now living in a mental hospital. Relating his story to a psychiatrist, not a psychologist. Relating his story to a psychiatrist, Ricky recounts the details of their murder sprees and vows to avenge his brother's death.
There we go. So first experiences, is this your first time seeing it? We'll start with you this time, Exilia.
Yep, this was my first time seeing it, although those Watch Mojo lists mostly featured this one.
Okay. How about you, Colton?
Yep, first time seeing it as well, and very similarly, I've seen the garbage day, meme online, but that's about it.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I saw the first one, as I said, years and years and years and years ago, and thought so little of it that I never wanted to see any of the other ones. So, yeah, this was my first time watching it, honestly.
So, I have a little different experience with this. Because I have actually seen it. We watched this one today. I actually saw this the night before when I watched Silent Night, Deadly Night 1. So I have seen this film except for like 10 minutes that they just added to this movie. Low-hanging fruit, I know. Just low-hanging fruit.
So you watched it twice in the past 24 hours?
I mean, I think we technically all watched this movie twice.
So you watched it 4 times in the last 24 hours?
He's making a joke. I was going to say, for what we think on this movie, just listen to the first 41 minutes of our discussion on the first one.
Right, yeah, because it's like the same movie.
The exact same thing, yeah.
Yeah, so...
A funny thing about that is, can I say?
Yeah.
When Billy's the little boy and the people are like having sex in that room, it's all exactly the same until she opens up the door and it's 2 different people than the first one.
Wow. Eagle-eyed Exilia.
2 different people?
Well, it's like, why would they just like randomly change those people? They were so minor.
Yeah, I never noticed.
But were they though?
Mike's questioning it.
I'm questioning.
Were they
minor or were they minor or were they major? As Oprah would say.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I guess if you're for some reason this far into the podcast and you haven't watched this, as we've been saying, we should just tell people. So the first 40 minutes of this movie, I think I timed it, it's about 41 minutes.
Yeah.
Is just basically the first movie re-edited.
Yeah.
There's like 5 minutes of like framing narrative.
Mm-hmm. And there's lots of narration that plays over it. And obviously the sequence of events are shuffled around or whatnot. But it's about 41 minutes of reused footage for sure for like a hour and 20-minute movie.
Yeah, it's
half the movies reused.
It's basically just like a movie that's commentary on the first movie.
Yeah, essentially. And so I own this one on the Scream Factory Blu-ray. So I did watch a little bit of the featurettes that interviewed like Lee Harry, and it could have been a lot worse, guys. So Lee Harry talked about when they originally hired him, they didn't want to give him any money to shoot anything new. They only wanted him to re-edit it so they could release it again.
So is that why he very specifically gets credited as directed and edited by?
Yes. So he talked...
it's just such a weird credit. Like, I've never seen that.
I think he's honestly flexing.
Ever.
I think he's trying to flex his editing skills. I thought it was an awful weird credit as well, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he talks about when they hired him, he was aware of this movie. He was it's one of those stories with a lot of these super low budget horror movies. He was talking about I was about to have a kid. I was new to the industry.
It's kind of like Evil Dead.
Yeah, he basically said a friend of his was offered to re-edit this, and his friend was basically morally against what this movie was about. So he was just like, hey, I know you're really looking for money, so would you do this? He said it was I don't think it was very much. I think he said it was $1,000 or something.
Holy shit.
But he took it.
I can't tell you what I'd do for $1,000.
So
I don't want to tell you, but you can find out. DM me.
Oh my god.
For scripts to a movie, not for naughty things.
So he took it and he basically said, like, when he started working on it, it was like him and a friend of his were like, hey, like, if you guys gave us like a little bit of money, we could just reshoot like some stuff and add it. He said the narration was always part of it, but it was only going to be narrated. There was going to be no extra scenes. And then he was like, well, I want to film some of this narration. Like, we could really actually try to make this like a different movie. Which I guess he did what he could, I guess, is the moral of the story.
I just don't understand. Like, do they think that people are literally gonna go see the same movie with the same footage re-edited and be like, oh, wow, that was a brand new movie. Take my 12 or whatever it was back then, $6. Like,
So
I don't understand.
The answer to that is like probably yes, because it was only in theaters for a week and it was kind of like a different era. Like, I don't know, like people probably would.
I mean, there was no Twitter to get on and be like,
yeah, like I don't know, it was only
hashtag Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 is a ripoff.
I was going to say, I think that was probably some of the motivation where they basically, had to end that theatrical run short. So it was like, well, like, let's retool it and put it out. I know I had read, they said when this came out, they were a lot more sly with the promotion. So it there was no Santa in the promotion or anything like that.
And I feel like this
I do love the like cover art where it's like the gun on the Christmas tree ornament.
You love that?
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's brilliant. I love
man.
it. I think it's like very aesthetically pleasing.
Okay.
All I thought was like how highly...
Even though I'm a hardcore purist who thinks that guns have no place in slasher movies, but anyway.
All I thought about, I was like, this is someone that saw like, the first one or two Friday the 13th, and we're like, oh yeah, you can just retell the story at the beginning. Like, that's normal.
Oh, I'm gonna take that a step further and say they saw Friday the 13th and Death Wish and
and just
somehow married the two.
Yeah, this is true. Now, before we get too off the rails, where we have to start. Favorite kill, favorite scene.
Go first.
Exilia's demanding to go first.
She deserves it.
This may be one of my favorite kills in any movie we've done. The one where he like puts the umbrella through the guy and opens it up.
That's honestly the only one worth talking about, I think.
Yeah.
So, how about you, Mike?
Okay, it's weird because, like, this is, like, the one whole scene that sticks out to me, but, like, it's when he kills that girl, Jennifer.
Yeah.
And that awful bleached fucking chip. It's the Chad, the original Chad, except it was a chip. And,
Chip.
He's like, Jennifer, she's the only one I ever cared about. And then it's like, cut to 5 minutes later, him just fucking strangling her with an antenna. Because she dared to fuck some other guy before him, just because you were a virgin at like 75, right? Like, anyway, I just thought that whole scene was like so off the wall. And like, okay, like, you think like maybe she died in the like, crossfire between him and this other guy, and it's like, no, he just fucking kills her. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know why that's my favorite kill. It's just the one that sticks out to me because there's a lot of like misogyny in this movie, so that's the like kind of height of it. Yeah.
I already said my favorite kill is the umbrella scene, obviously, and I like how it like instantly starts raining like 5 seconds after it happens. It's like that's tastefully done. But the other scene in the movie where I would have been completely fine if he just hauled off and murdered the people in the scene was the theater scene where like they're just talking over this fucking movie. Oh my god, like that gave me like stress just because it triggers me every single time in a movie theater, like just people talking the entire time or texting or whatnot. So I was like, oh my god, just finish these guys in the back row, for God's sake.
It's funny because we just watched an episode of Seinfeld that was like Elaine and Jerry and then George's like fiance went, and Elaine and Jerry talked pretty much the whole time, and George's fiance hates them now because they're talking. That's you.
I love that reference.
I can't stand it.
I just hate when they're like, people are being really obnoxious and like kicking your seat and yelling like.
The best part of that whole scene to me was like that he was there with a friend who clearly was like not having it, but was just like sitting there, and I'm like, can't you just say to your friend, hey, Billy, fuck off. You know,
Right.
like,
Yep.
or I'm just gonna leave, goodbye. And I guess that's what happened. I don't know if he got killed or if he left, but like, I like to think that scene where he gets murdered by Ricky, you know, he turns around and it's like, oh, Ricky's there instead of his friend. I'm like, the friend totally just said, fuck this, I'm leaving.
And I can't believe we pretty much all have different kills. I thought the electrocuting the boyfriend one was funny. Like, just because it looks so terrible. And
he just did it out in the open, right? Like,
yeah, it was just
in front of her.
It was absolutely absurd. I didn't really get, like, because at first I thought he was gonna like clamp his tongue or something with the clamps, but then he just kind of like shoves it in his mouth, and I'm like, I guess. I also just enjoyed like how large the battery charger was. Like,
yeah, is that what they used to look like?
I have no idea. I don't really know what the guy was doing to his car. It just didn't make sense to me, but
It seemed like he was charging his battery.
it was, yeah.
Is that something people, as a non-driver, I'm like, do you just like charge your battery out on the road? Is that something like people
Yeah,
do when they have cars?
If it dies.
Yeah, and you try and turn it over, you know, to spark.
But it looked like it was just like parked out on the like curb in front of a house. Like,
Hey, if it dies, you know, you can't really.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do.
Yeah.
I've replaced 2 car batteries in the past year, me and Rowan's, because we were constantly like jumping them.
Having to jump it, yeah, super annoying.
Yeah, I think the main thing you have to talk about with this movie, other than the weird choice of just a re-edited movie with added scenes, is Mr. Eric Freeman that plays Ricky. One of the greatest actors of our generation, maybe.
Definitely.
More eyebrows equals a better performance, for sure.
and arms. Don't forget his arms. He's very much arms.
Have one of my favorite quotes of any movie ever.
I saw on IMDb that someone actually counted it, and I think it's like 160 or 180 times his eyebrows go up and down.
Oh, for sure. It's like non-stop.
It's absolutely batshit
You use your
crazy.
strengths. You use your strength. To quote the Grace Jones song, as Edith Piaf once said, use your strengths, use your defaults, then you're gonna be a star. He fucking used his strength, and it was his fucking eyebrows.
I mean, like I said when we were talking about the first one, it's hard to talk about issues till you get to the second one. This is where the timeline for me just goes batshit crazy with the re-editing. I started to get really confused about their ages, and like, they're showing all this shit that happened to Bobby, and like, it's like
Billy.
Billy, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point,
Whatever.
the point is, Rick. There's times Ricky isn't even there. There's no way this
Because
would
it's a
affect
bad
Ricky.
movies. They're just showing.
It's just like,
they're trying to take up screen time, Rowan. They just don't care.
I was just like, I don't
They're
get
trying
it.
to take up 40 minutes of the not even 90-minute runtime.
Yes.
Yeah, like, I know Exilia pointed out, like, how would Ricky even know about that shit when he was a baby? Like, he was in the car.
I don't know.
And he was having like flashbacks.
Well, that's the thing, and like, it's so funny because X, you know, mentioned earlier, and I did think this about the first one too, which was one of the only things about it that I found interesting was, you know, obviously that, like, you know, it was like this echo reverberated like trauma response from when you were a youngster, but it's like he literally, again, he's like recalling like, oh yeah, Billy saw this and that, and then like literally in like minute detail, obviously, like.
Right.
Yeah.
Girl, you were like less than a year old in a fucking car seat. Like,
Right. Like kids would be like, even at that age, they'd be traumatized, but like not in that way. You know what I mean?
but not in a like I can recall specific.
No, I can recall.
I can
everything
recall
from
my mom's
brothers.
like bouncing. Yeah.
Right. It's because like
Yeah.
everything he recalls is Billy's point of view.
Yeah. It could have been interesting if they did like a Back to the Future type 2 thing in terms of just like when we were flashing back to the first movie that it was changed slightly, or that maybe when we cut the Ricky like in the nun area, like the kids were talking about it like it was almost like a legend or an urban legend, and his like perception of it was skewed or changed or something. Like there's definitely something you could have did interesting with that, but the movie's not interested in that and clearly didn't have the budget to do that. So
No, for sure.
There was one thing, and I can't remember what it was, but I was like, wait, is this like time travel? Like,
is this time
I
travel? Oh my god.
remember what it was.
Well, we need to write a new Silent Night, Deadly Night that, like, involves time travel. Yeah.
Dude,
because that's the only thing that can explain the weird timeline in part 2.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, that could work. I mean, there was just so many weird choices. So, like, the archival footage they used footage of Ricky when he was 14 from the first movie. They then skipped to when he's 15, which is new footage shot with a new kid.
Yeah.
So the kids they're totally different kids.
Yep.
None of these people look the same.
What about Ricky when he's at the funeral scene and he like literally almost looks like a grown-ass man, and then like we jump ahead in when he's 18, he's like the character that we know for, you know, the actual actor. But like when he's like, I don't know, 16 or something, he's not that
by
age.
the way,
yeah, he doesn't look anything like
insanely ahead of their time, frosted bangs. Like, he looked like he could have been in the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC with those frosted tip bangs, except that it was the 80s.
Maybe Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 has more of an influence than we thought.
Yep, the impact on the boy band, what was his name? That horrible exploitative Marv something or whatever.
Oh,
the
yeah, I
boy
can't
band
think. The guy
puppeteer
made all
of
the boy
90s.
bands.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, no.
Maybe he saw Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 and thought, here's my template. Here's my template for boy band greatness. It is Ricky from Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
So, I mean, we've talked...
I mean, he did have the arms, too.
He was like...
I'm just saying.
Huge. He was like
He was a bit of
massive.
a, like, lady killer, yeah.
But, like Colton said, like, it was weird because at the funeral scene, he's like scrawny and skinny.
Yeah.
And then he's just fucking massive, like, 2 years later. Like, just totally different body build, everything.
It was weird, too, because one of the kids, like, actually did kind of look like could be, like, a young Eric Freeman. And so it's, like, literally just for, like, a couple of years there when he's a teenager, he looks absolutely nothing like him. And then he's back, you know? It's, I don't know, it's very jarring.
I was going to say, this one's a little more manageable to talk about, because really, we only have to talk about, like, 20 minutes. Well, I guess, like, a half hour.
Yeah.
We talked about the rest of it. So with the new stuff, like, I'm just interested in everyone's opinion, like, with the narration and the scenes with the psychiatrist.
I love how he, like, says things, and I love, like, the stupid quips he says. And one of my favorite quotes here, I cannot do it like him, but how he says it is great. It's like, you tend to get paranoid when everyone around you gets dead. And just, like, who says gets dead?
I did like that. That was an awesome line.
Yeah.
Okay, also, can we talk about the fucking massive sexual tension between Ricky and the fucking doctor interviewing him? And the point where, like, there's all these actually, like, really artful, crazy shots in this movie.
There actually are in the interrogation scene. Yes, I agree.
It cuts to, like, Ricky's, like, face side on coming up, like, right next to the doctor's ear and, like whispering, like, I'm right here, doctor. And I'm like, oh my god, like, are they gonna fucking kiss? Like,
I'm pretty confident.
But, like, this is so, I don't understand. Like, I was like, where is this coming from? Like, all of a sudden.
I'm pretty confident there's a split diopter shot in this movie, which means someone's, like, really close to the camera and in focus, and then someone, like, in the background is in focus, and they're known to be, like, notoriously hard, and it's in the interrogation scene. I'm like...
It's like Martin Scorsese
level I'm like,
shot,
why
right?
are you using a split diopter shot in this, like, interrogation scene? It's just, like, it's just so strange. And then a lot of, like, the shots with the psychiatrist is just like, it's shot almost like weirdly, like his forehead is like closer to the camera. His head looks really big for a lot of these shots. It's really strange. So some of them are just off-putting, and some of them are like, oh, there's like someone knows what they're doing here. It's very weird. Yeah.
And there's a weird, like, schism between all of these things that, like, you just can't bridge.
And then you're watching 40 minutes of this movie that we've already seen, you know, like, mixed in with it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
There's also, like, these weird edits and cuts where, like, the one scene where, like, the psychiatrist, he's just, like, dripping in sweat and he's, like, wiping it off.
Yeah.
And then
then he looks at the napkin. the handkerchief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then when it shows him, it goes back to him. He's like dry. He's not sweating whatsoever. They're like, he's just purely dry, and I'm like, what a terrible like cut.
Going back,
obviously.
Going back to what Exilio was saying with like how he speaks and like kind of like how he's like bragging a bit by it. Like it does remind me about how like actual like serial killers and whatnot talk about like like their acts sometimes though. Like I saw like a couple of videos on YouTube here over the last couple of weeks where it's just like, I don't know, they're just surfacing true crime interrogation scenes and stuff to me, and like some of them are like really like braggarts and like that, like a really weird vibe, and just speaks about it like so matter of fact. So it's like, I don't think that's what they were going for in this movie, but his like weird dead performance of like how he's just speaking really weird, I guess kind of does work for that.
Yeah, it's like this like flattened affect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we're just saying that he might just actually be a serial killer.
Except when he says it's garbage. Dang.
It's garbage.
Okay,
well, that's Oscar
listen,
worthy.
Every serial killer needs a fucking like hook goddamn catchphrase, apparently, okay?
Every serial killer needs a catchphrase.
I was actually thinking, one of my notes made me think of X, and it's like all I could think about when I was watching this, because of course they showed like the mom getting raped at the beginning and murdered, or I can't remember exactly what happened, or like her shirt was torn open and there was like some sort of sexual violence, and then of course like the nun like fucking and the voyeurism from the first one, but then they recreate that with like other similar scenes where like he's watching as like a young person, like people fucking and stuff, but like it always ends in like sexual violence, like when he's watching the people like in the park or whatever, and it's like
and he's like trying to force himself on her.
or whatever.
And then
and then he's like, I'm gonna like like force myself on you, and then say I'm gonna go get a fucking beer or whatever, and then he gets run over. But I was like, I just thought it was so weird that like both of these movies, and the second one in particular doubly so because it repeats the shit from the first one and then adds more versions of it on top of it, the like weird sexual violence thing, and it's like it just kept making me think of like Andrea Dworkin and stuff, and I was like, X, like what do you have to say about this? It was like this weird, like every sexual instance in these movies is like literally just completely rooted in violence and like ends in and it's just like, it was a fucking nightmare to me. I could not make like head or tail of it.
I think I like kind of have, no matter what genre the movie is, like I kind of have the same opinion about it, but I think that if it like does serve a purpose for the plot, then like I think okay, like it's part of the story, like it does, like people, it happens in real life, right? So sometimes it actually like is necessary to the story, but I think just like gratuitous sexual violence is like shit.
But like, and that's the thing, like when I was like watching this, I kept thinking like in both of these movies they just take these instances as like, this is an easy like, oh, this is why he is the way he is, so we're gonna take this as like one of the little sparks of his like murderous spree, and I'm just like, why do you need to do that to like you already have this kind of I'm gonna call it a rich backstory, which is not accurate.
That's
but,
generous.
You have this backstory already established. Like, why do you have to keep throwing like, why do both of these characters have to experience the same voyeuristic,
right,
like they have these voyeuristic tendencies where they're like watching people, but they're every time they watch somebody, it's this sexual act that turns violent, and it's like, it made this weird like world where like, to me, I was like looking at this and going, I don't want to watch a third one where like it's just this voyeuristic like violent sexual, because like I know people say this about slasher movies in general, and I don't always agree with it. Like I agree with it to a certain degree, but I feel like a lot of it is also kind of like puritanical. But in these movies, like it was just this weird like link between like voyeurism and sex and like dominance, like patriarchal dominance and violence, and I'm like, I could write a fucking paper on this shit. Like there's just too much happening here,
Yeah, I actually hadn't even thought about the fact that like the voyeuristic aspect of it. It's interesting because it's like, are those, well, besides at the beginning of the second one, like are those the only like sexual experiences they've ever like had witnessed
Well,
was like
I get-
relating to violence.
Yeah, I get that vibe from Ricky in this movie. Like, he seems really incel-y to me. Like, he has that, like, one line that's like, that was my first time, and I thought it was Jennifer's, too.
I thought it was hers.
Yeah.
I literally wrote a note about that.
Yeah, it's really, like, sinister, and then it's implied that kind of almost the reason that he, like, kills her is because he learns that she slept with
was not a
Chip.
virgin, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, there is a really unhealthy relationship towards women and, like, sexuality completely in this movie. So I kind of do think his only sexual experiences are, like, voyeuristic and violent in nature. Yeah, I certainly get that vibe throughout it. I don't know if that was, you know, meant or, like, you know, they tried that, but I got that vibe.
I was going to say, too, I picked up a weird, like, it's kind of weird just when you talk about, like, the sexual violence and the voyeuristic stuff. Because I also felt that they were, like, almost trying to build Ricky into, like, this anti-hero. Because we get the scene similar to the first one where, like, whenever he encounters, like, kids and stuff, you know, like, the girl, like, runs into him with the bike, and I'm like, oh, shit, he's gonna...
Yeah, but I think the exact, like, they did it in the first one.
I just think it, like, they do this weird thing where, like, he has a
empathetic.
code, like, he doesn't hurt the kids.
Yeah, but at the first one, like, it's like when he gives the kid the box
cutter,
cutter.
Yeah.
And he, to me, is a lot more, like, empathy provoking than, like, the brother in the second one.
Yeah, but like also what I found weird was at the end of the first one, it's like he comes in and he gets shot. It's like, is he gonna just kill the nun or is he gonna actually kill all of them? Because it was up in the air for me. I'm like, is he gonna like make this his like massacre ground?
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, is he just gonna like axe the Mother Superior, or is he actually gonna like just start killing everybody? And we don't ever find out.
Yeah, I'm actually like the opposite. I think I agree with Rowan that they are trying to make this guy kind of more like an anti-hero in this movie because they give him like a reason for the killing that it's like vengeful, like he's trying to go and get the nun, like, you know, that ending of the movie is supposed to be like, yeah, fuck yeah, Ricky, you got her. Where in the first one, Billy's just kind of like cold and like he's just like vacant for a lot of the movie. He's doing these killings,
like,
but
yeah,
all he really mumbles is, you know, God, what is it?
Punish.
Yeah.
Naughty. Yeah.
That's all he says, right? He almost like turns into a zombie for like the later half of that movie. Just like a force of nature with an axe, really. Where in this, it's like, maybe it's just the performance and stuff as well, where he's much more expressive. You know, obviously the eyebrows, but he's laughing all the time too, just chuckling all the time. Like
I love the I wish I could like have taken screen caps of all the like closed captioning, because of course I watch movies with closed captioning. Of like evil laughter.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're being very generous.
And it's all like super fake laughing too. It reminds me of like a Tommy Wiseau, like The Room. It's like ah ha ha, you know, constantly. It's so strange.
I literally bursted out laughing at that.
Oh yeah,
it struck me so funny.
Yeah, one, you brought up Mother Superior, which is definitely something I wanted to talk about.
What happened to her face?
So
yeah, they say a stroke, right? Like they say she had a stroke, and then when it shows her,
that doesn't do to your face.
I was like, she looks like she has leprosy on like half of her face or something, or gangrene.
Oh my god, it's leprosy! Wow,
she looks
deep
like
cut.
Two-Face. Two-Face! Oh my god, leprosy deep cut.
I just kind of. Like, I feel like they should have just done something else for the ending. Like, no need for her to be there. I also feel like, I don't even know if she'd really be alive then. Like, this is, like, she's pretty old in the first one.
I mean, she's pretty old here, too, and she's, like, wheelchair bound as well, right?
Yeah.
She gets a second wheelchair inexplicably, which is pretty amazing. Like, I don't know, the first one gets, like, destroyed, and then as soon as she goes downstairs, she has another one. I was like, man, she has the...
At first, I thought that was really strange, but then I thought about it, and I was like, okay, she has to drop her wheelchair off stairs, and then, like, ride that thing down.
You know what? That is a good point, yeah.
Because at first, I was like, what the hell? She just has, like, wheelchairs on every level? Like,
it seemed like a continuity error or something, like, when it first shot the way. It was just, like, it didn't show her, like, getting another wheelchair or you know, hopping into another one. It's just, like, cut, and she has it back again. Yeah.
I gotta say, though, for an old lady who had a stroke and apparently leprosy or burn victim
That's true.
or whatever, like, when he was trying to get into that fucking bedroom, I was like, she's like final girl material right here. She's like keeping him the fuck out of that room. Like, that is, I was thinking, like, man, that is some badass arms she got for like an old stroke victim nun. Like,
she was like held her own better, I think, than I would.
She did. That was like a good solid 10 minutes she held him at bay there. Like,
I mean, you're talking about that. I'm way more impressed that she basically fell down a whole flight of stairs.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that too. Like, let's see. Yeah,
and then just immediately, like, jumped up and jumped in her wheelchair, and she's ready to go.
I like the old horror trope of decapitating someone, and then it's, like, absolutely bloodless, and they
Putting
look
their head
perfectly
back on
fine.
the
Yeah,
body,
and then, like, someone checks on them, their head falls off. Yeah, I was like, okay, you know, she's decapitated for sure here. But it's, you know, it's an old trope.
They must have ran out of money for the blood or something.
They couldn't, like, squeeze some ketchup on her or anything, you know, it's just... No budget. Didn't allow for it.
I feel like this is probably a good time for us to talk about the elephant in the room with this movie that, you know, most people probably have never seen this movie but know of this movie because of the meme Garbage Time.
No, it's
Garbage
not Garbage
Day.
Time.
It's Garbage Day. Auxiliary's got me saying
Day.
Garbage Time.
Why would I?
Garbage Time.
Because you said...
When did you hear me say Garbage?
Because you said Garbage Time the first time.
What?
What?
No,
I don't think she did. No, I think that's on you.
Listeners will know when they listen to this. We literally had the same conversation. I was like, oh, said, no, it's Garbage Day. And you had said Garbage Time.
What?
Listeners will know.
I don't remember.
I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it, copy it, and put it right here.
Just put it 5 times in a row.
Yeah. This is like super memed film. I know that meme. I see that meme all the time. And probably one of the more exciting parts of watching this was getting to actually, you know, see the source material of the meme.
The source material. Yes.
So, yeah, I think, you know, it's worth nodding that, you know, this whole film has some very meme-worthy things in it.
It's so, like, yeah, sure, that scene's fine. It's pretty funny, especially, like, if you just cut it out. But, like, this movie's supposed to be a holiday horror, and he doesn't even wind up with a Santa suit until, I think there's 13 minutes left in the movie, and that's including the end credits. So it's just, like, I don't know, I wish, like, all that happened, like, when he was already, like, in the Santa suit and all that stuff. Like, it's, I don't know, it's just, like, there's no Christmas decorations, there's no nothing, like, it just doesn't feel like
no snow.
It doesn't feel like a Christmas movie
but
at
they
all.
do put the tag on the screen, December 24th.
Right.
Yes.
Right? Just so you know, there's no other indication in this movie, but...
And I mean, like, sure, it could take place in a southern climate, but I mean, around Christmas, people still have lights up at least or something, you know?
And
some
none
holiday
of them
music.
has an accent that would be, like, from a hot place, I don't think.
Yeah.
In the States.
The accents you get if you're from hot places.
Well, he doesn't have, like,
but
the
I'm
Valley
saying if
Girl
you look
accent.
at, like,
Yeah,
and he's not like, he doesn't have like a southern...
He definitely looks like he should have a Valley Girl accent.
Yes.
Well, and the big issue is, like you said, the most Christmas this movie is the first 40 minutes of the first movie.
Because it's another movie, yeah.
Where then they're like, well, the rest, you know, we're kind of shit out of luck. So,
yeah.
Well, let's get into talking about, is it unsettling? Were you unsettled watching this? We'll start with you, Exilia.
No, not really.
I was terrified at most of the editing and continuously errors. That was what was unsettling to me. Continuity.
Yeah.
Continuity. I love that word.
Yeah.
How about you, Colton?
Yeah, Eric Freeman's performance truly unsettled me with just how awful it was. As did that weird casting choice of finding someone to play like the 14 or 15-year-old kid or something. That was very strange. Other than that, no, it was not remotely unsettling. It's just whatever.
I saw Eric Freeman, he guested on, some TV shows. He was on In Living Color for an episode.
Oh my god. Amazing series.
Yeah, kind of deep cut there. How about you, Mike? Did you find it unsettling?
The only thing I found unsettling about it was that they were selling us 2 movies in one.
True.
Other than, and honestly, that was not even unsettling. That was actually brilliant. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna throw out there right now that if I had realized the extent to which the first movie was incorporated
You
in the
wouldn't
second,
have watched the first one.
I wouldn't. I had a real rough week, so when I was having to rewatch these movies, I would not have even wasted my time watching the first one, because they gave all the fucking greatest hits of part 1 in part 2. Like, there's nothing in that 40-minute recap that like if that was all I knew from the first one, that's fine, because the 20 minutes that they left out of the first one was just stupid, useless bullshit anyway. So
I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
It's terrible, too, because Rowan knew that the second one reuses 40 minutes of footage, and he specifically chose it as a double feature just to torture us, I think. But I watched it a couple days in separation.
He's like, I'm going to make you watch the same movie twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like to think of myself as an anti-hero of sorts.
What's your origin story?
A real Ricky.
Your Joker origin story is going to be this episode, bitch.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Well, let's get in the rating this extra 20 minutes. We'll start with you, Mike.
Okay, I'm glad you asked.
Oh, no.
What is my rating? We're giving it hang on, strap your caps on, folks, a very high okay.
Okay.
And I will tell you why.
Please
I will
do.
tell you why. Because, first of all, again, if you don't watch the first one and you just watch this one, you get 2 movies in one. So it's more bang for your buck. Also, here's why this movie is better than the first movie. I have one word for you girls. Camp. This movie is camp.
Absolutely.
There's nothing about it. You want to talk about the eyebrows and the fucking meme worthiness of it. There's no meme of the first one, because the first one's just bad. This is bad to the level of camp. The performances, the fucking cinematography, the dialogue, everything is camp, and that's why I fucking love it, and I will absolutely watch part 2 again.
Didn't you give it an
100%.
okay?
I did. Okay, listen. It's not good.
You love it, but you're
But
okay.
it's not good. But this is my point. It's not good, but it's better than the first one. The first one's awful. So I'm giving this one has camp value, so therefore it's okay. I will watch it again.
All right.
Listen, I'm saying this is more of a camp classic than the first one, so therefore it gets a higher rating.
I respect
it. There's really nothing, there's no confusion here. I'm just saying camps with a sprinkling of Andrea Dworkin, with a sprinkling of Michel Foucault, because they actually say discipline and punish, and I'm like, okay, girl, someone's reading their
It's actually
continent.
just like a critique on Foucault.
Right? I'm like, someone's reading their continental philosophy here, so we're gonna give it an okay, because
Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, the most deep Christmas movie ever.
Exactly.
Oh
We're
my
critiquing the panopticon and the heterosexual sexual violence. Anyway, so there we go.
So I'll go next. I'm also gonna give this an okay. I gave the first one an okay. I'm gonna give this one an okay. Like we kind of said, you could kind of not see the first one. But what's the fun in that? I think you gotta be like me. If you know people that haven't seen these movies, you gotta make them watch both. Just so they're like, what the hell is going on right now? But I mean, we talked about it. I mean, it's a movie that's been memed over and over again. The performances are wild. They're crazy. They're, as Colton said, there's weird, kind of artful shots in it for no reason whatsoever. I think it's worth checking it out once. I could see this being a lot of fun if you're with people, you're having drinks. And you want to set the holiday mood. So yeah, I'll give it an okay as well. How about you, Colton?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a similar boat. I don't think the movie's good. But I don't think it's awful enough to give it a nay straight up. So it's a very soft okay for me. Basically for the reasons you guys have already said. I do think the little theater sequence where they're watching kind of the armed robbery from the first one is pretty fun. That's the only instance where they reuse the footage where I'm like, oh, this is fun because this is meta. It's commenting on the first one. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
There's a couple.
Yeah, it almost goes there, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it kind of like pulls back right before it goes there. I think it's very strange that a nun lives in an apartment that's 666. I was like, there is no way.
Oh my god, that was brilliant! Thank
I was
you.
like, there's
That
no
was
way in
brilliant.
hell she would live in there.
I said the same thing.
I wish they just put the dude in a Santa suit for more of the movie. But yeah, it's not something I'll probably return to, but it was okay. My favorite parts of the movie are probably seeing the 40 minutes of the first one over again, because I much preferred that.
You love the first one.
Don't love it, but it's better than this, I think. But yeah, okay from me.
How about you, Exilia?
I'm gonna give it a yay.
Oh, wow.
I'm into it.
I love I just love the camp of it also, and I just love how the guy speaks and just the shit he says, and yeah, I'm here.
There's
for
more
it.
sociological critique in this one.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
Right?
what they could have really probably done is just made the first one a longer movie and just put it all together.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think I would prefer that, but yeah, so I mean, I think I'll watch these at Christmas time.
So,
well, if you watch number 2, you're watching number 1 as well. So there's
basically.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, that's very true.
So never would I have thought coming into this that I would say Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, 3 okays and a yay. Maybe a little higher than I expected.
I just don't think it's truly
overall
awful.
ratings.
Yeah, I think it gets panned a little bit. Yeah.
No, there was just so much about it that was much more interesting in a way. It was still an awful movie, but it was awful with more flair, I found.
Awful with flair.
That's fair.
Awful with flair. I mean, hello, camp, right?
That umbrella
but,
scene, there's
weird.
lots of flair.
I was literally, the fact that I was, writing Dworkin and Foucault and, also, just get some therapy and this movie could have been avoided.
Right.
Why do
True.
none of these characters who survived massive childhood trauma not get sent to therapy?
Well, they have a psychiatrist.
Yeah, but that's after they're already in fucking
They're
jail.
fucked.
It's why were the kids not given therapy? They're like, oh,
Right.
here's some nuns.
Right? The punishment will make it better.
Yeah.
Therapy for their souls.
So, let's get into the budget game. We will start with what it costs. Are you part of this one, Colton?
Nope, go ahead, guys. Spoiled for me again. Unintentionally, I never had anything to say about it. They just spouted it out, so.
Exilia.
Yes.
How much do you think it costs?
I think it costs probably $300,000.
300,000.
Mostly because they took so many scenes from the original.
Mike.
For the same reason, I want to say 175,000.
175,000.
175,000.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm 100,000, Bob. 175,000.
So Exilia is the closest. $250,000 is how much they got to re-edit and add the minimal scenes that they shot. So let's talk about what it made. Mike.
500,000.
All right, and Exilia.
I know this bitch is gonna say 375. I know it.
No, I won't. How much did the other one make? 3 million.
No cheating. No cheating.
2.5.
How is that cheating?
I couldn't remember, so I just said some random number. That's why it's cheating.
I'll say 700,000.
So Mike's gonna take this one. So the
I'm shook.
The box office take on this was $154,000. 323. Yeah.
That's actually kind of embarrassing.
Did this one
For
get pulled
them,
from theaters? Oh no, never mind. Remember, it released in April. They never even got a Christmas audience, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh yes.
All those people that want to go see
Silent
a Christmas
Night,
movie
Deadly Night in April.
Yeah,
April.
so stupid. If they would have literally released that just at Christmas, they would have, at least got
Had such a
$500,000.
better-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, are you interested in becoming a horror hound? Then join us at www.patreon.com/itslayspodcast and check out everything we have to offer. We have cool things from podcast shoutouts to picking movies all the way to maybe getting yourself a free t-shirt. So if you're interested in joining us and becoming a horror hound, join us at patreon.com/itslayspodcast. So, that is our double feature episode, our last episode of the year. And yeah, wow, what a year it's been. So we do have a big announcement to make. Mike's already signed.
A somber announcement. Yeah.
A somber but happy announcement. And we will let Exilia take the floor.
I don't have a lot to really say, but this is my last episode.
Just
silence. We're all sobbing. We're all sobbing.
Wow.
Sobbing.
I'm here like holding back tears, and you're just okay.
I can't believe they sprung this on me just now. I'm just processing.
Yeah.
So, you'll still be able to hear her lovely voice. We got stuff in the works. I don't know. Do you want to say anything, or?
I mean, you can.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So you'll still be able to hear. So we're kind of I don't want to say rebooting. Kind of soft reboot. We're going to be doing your favorite movie couple more frequently now.
As in, like, putting an episode out more frequently. We have
frequently
at least twice a year.
Yeah.
It'll be more than once a year. The last episode came out in March.
And that was an introduction.
And that's the introduction episode.
Yeah.
So she's going to be doing that, and we have some other, like, limited podcast series ideas in the works, a couple of those.
Yeah, they only followed me back yesterday, so that's how infrequently they, right? I'm like, that's how infrequently they planned this. Like,
yeah, so she'll still be around. We're just, we're just building the podcast network.
As Sarah McLachlan would say, building a mystery.
Building a mystery.
There may also be a OC podcast in the works.
Yeah, so we got some tricks up our sleeves,
which certain people may be guesting on very frequently, because it was our idea.
And I'm sure she'll pop in. We'll have her back as a guest, and I mean, who knows? Maybe she'll just get bored one day and she'll say, "I need back in, guys."
She cannot stay away from her shade brigade.
That's
right, breaking up the brigade. Man, oh man.
It's the brigade is broken. It's a broken brigade.
So now all the future episodes are just going to be Mike throwing shade at her.
It's just going to be Mike being an asshole by himself.
That should be another side cast, Mike being an asshole.
Yeah.
That surprise, that's the new podcast we're working on.
Yeah.
It's just called Mike being an ass.
I'm the executive producer.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that is our somber news. But like I said, she'll be around the It Slays universe.
Universe.
Yeah.
So
and, and hopefully in the new year, like Rowan and I are talking a lot behind the scenes to kind of maybe think about revamping the Patreon or like making some slight changes around here. So hopefully we'll have exciting things to announce or promote in the new year as well. So if you're super depressed by Exilia leaving, at least come back and check out the first new episode in the new year. Just hopefully we'll have some exciting announcements or some new things planned by then.
Colton, did you want to announce the first episode of the new year?
Oh, are we going ahead with my pick that I was kind of suggesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, I mean, this is kind of like everybody knows this movie, but yeah, I guess the next pick will be Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, which I don't know if anyone gives that less than a sleigh, I might be upset. So we'll have to see what we all have to say about it.
You know what? In this one instance, I am not going to be an asshole.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, especially as we get ramped up, it seems, for some more pandemic restrictions. Why not just go total isolation?
Yeah, I was picking it for like the little bit of New Year's Eve stuff at the end of it, but yeah, there might be some other parallels we can draw there.
So I think that is everything. Thank you for all the support. It's the end of the year. And yeah, like Colton said, we'll be back in the new year with some cool things going on. So as always, I'm Rowan.
Bye, it's Exilia.
We love you, X. It's Mike.
And I'm Colton.
See you later.
Bye, X. Love you. Gonna miss you. Also, don't forget to take out the fucking trash on your way out.
You can't just let her leave in peace, Mike. You gotta get her to take out the trash as well. What the hell?
Yeah, okay. I guess I'll take it for you. Bye.
Garbage day!
Huh?
No!
We're going to expand our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotape.